Hi, I'm Mark Gingrass. I'm going to talk to you about some of the pipeline data and supply chain terminology used in the Air Force. We're going to start with what's going on at the actual field or the bases. And we're going to start with, if you look at number 1, it says RSP. Those are the Readiness Spares Kits. Now, what are the RSPs? Those are kits that are used that when aircraft are deployed or have to go on a mission of some sort, you want to take a kit with you for all your emergency supplies, because once you're in the air or once you land, there might not be any logistics support for any type of supply. So you want to take your kit with you. So you want to make sure that before you go, your kit's full. In fact, you want to have your kit full at all times just in case of emergencies or urgency of need. So your first goal is to fill those kits. The second goal is to fill what they call the peace operating stock. So during routine times, when you're flying and you're practicing, you're doing whatever you do routinely, as far as that goes, you want to have spare parts so that you can easily maintain the aircraft flying in a peacetime operating situation, or a peace operating stock is what they call that. So as you can see the shelf, we have terminology. If you see, there's a circle and there's squares. This isn't like a formal terminology, but the circle is what I'm going to call shorts, and the squares are filled. In other words, that part is there, ready for use, and the circles need to be filled. Every time there's a circle or a short, they have to, the base or the field, whoever needs that part, will submit a requisition to supply, whether it's from the RSP, the POS, and then I'm going to talk to you about the due outs here in a moment. So you have to fill out a requisition, and that will notify the supply chain that, hey, there's a part that's in need. Now, how badly do you need that part? That depends on where it came from. Did it come from RSP or POS? And finally, did it come from due out? A due out is a due out, I think it stands for due out to maintenance. So in other words, maintenance did not have a peace operating stock. They don't want to use the RSP stock. But they ran out of this certain part. So if you can see, that aircraft there has two shorts, two missing parts that are needed. So maintenance owes that fighter or that jet or whatever it is those parts. Now, they're going to also tag supply and say, hey, supply, we really need these parts. So that could be what they call a MICAP. In other words, that aircraft cannot fly if they don't have those parts. It's mission incapable, I believe the term is, a MICAP. So it might not be a grounded MICAP, or it might not be a full-on MICAP. It could be a partial mission incapable. So you can do part of the missions or some missions, but just not all missions if you're MICAP. So that's kind of like the field level look of what's going on, and that's how requisitions get to the supply chain. Now, if you look at the square that says maintenance, MX, and supply. So first, you have your supply. This is your wholesale suppliers. Now, if you think about your number 3 there, that POS, that's more of a retail supply. Now, the wholesale supply is what's in that square. As you can see, I have something called F, and there's 3 squares, which are actual parts, but they're not good. They need to be repaired somehow. And then if you see in the A condition, there's nothing there, so there's no parts to be had. So what do you have to do when you don't have those parts they need? Well, you can rely on maintenance at that point. So if you look at the maintenance square, you'll see something called Y, INW, and OWO, and Z. The Y stands for it's going into maintenance. It's being transported. It's on its route to get worked on, whether that's from the field or from the supply. Those F conditions might have routed to maintenance to get fixed. So once they're in maintenance, they would be what they call in work. They're actually in the maintenance facility, they're INW, and then if they're actually physically working on it, it'd be OWO, on work order. So somebody scanned in saying, I'm going to fix this part today. That's basically what that means. And then the Z condition is, hey, I fixed this. It's now going to go travel to either the field locations to fill one of those shorts or holes, or it's going to go back to supply, but it'll go back in as A condition. And so if you don't have that pipeline, if you don't have maintenance parts, if you don't have supply parts, you'll see on the right-hand side I have something called a new buy. That's a contract. We're going to contract out and say, hey, we need to buy this part to make sure that these holes or shorts are filled in a timely fashion. Now, the Air Force has depots, and they're in the business of maintaining and repairing parts. So we don't want to go buy these parts, but sometimes you have to in order to meet mission needs. So that's kind of an overview of what's going on with these terms, RSP, Readiness Spares Package, POS, piece operating stock, and due out to maintenance. And then of course you have your supply and your maintenance that are at the depot. And it's a lot more complicated than this, but that's kind of a 1,000-foot view. I hope you enjoy these videos.